lots of people outside the voiceover industry are arguing that they believe $35 to $75 an hour to dub anime is an incredible rate. Here's a thread as to why this rate is incredibly low in terms of voice acting. So she has a whole thread here, but I'm more interested in Reba Burr's point here. Thank you, Sarah. Yes, the per hour rate seems good if you don't do this kind of work. But if you have a juicy supporting role on a show and you work, say, 4 hours on it to complete your work for the whole season, that's $300, period, forever. Oh, woe is me. I can't get paid more for 4 fucking hours of work. Jesus Christ. How tone deaf are these people entitled?
And they're not just getting $300 an hour or $300 period forever, because they get to cash in forever on the con circuit for autographs, voicing.
Also, they want you to, and people also want you to quickly forget that, hey, there is nothing stopping them
from having
a side hustle.
Exactly.
That they do.
Jeff Johnson is a pilot for Southwest.
I'm just, it's just like, you've got to do what you got to do to make ends meet. And I know the feeling of loving what you do or wanting to be an actor or a performer. But at the end of the day, you got to put food on the fucking table, and you can't be like, hey, I'm going to get paid $1,200 for one gig, because you have to make sure that this 3 hours of work I did once every 2 months pays everything that I want you to pay.
But I mean, there's an argument. There's an argument for, like, oh, well, this job isn't paying enough, so I need to get a separate job to, like, subsidize my shitty job. That's one thing. It's like, okay, well, it sucks that you have to have 2 jobs, I guess, whatever, depending on the job. But it's another thing to say, no, from this job alone, you're going to get more on autographs, pictures, a cameo thing. Like, you can do cameo, and that's all piggybacking off of this specific role. So it's not just 300 period.
Remember previously, I don't remember I think it was the Japanese voice actor. I can't remember. Remember, what's the guy who wears the Tengu mask in Demon Slayer?
Urokodaki.
Yeah. Urokodaka?
Daki.
Whatever it is. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. The voice actor for it, I can't remember if it was the Japanese voice actor or the American voice actor, lamented the fact that Demon Slayer, Mugen Train, was the highest grossing. First of all, he's not even fucking in that, is he?
No.
Fucker. Basically lamented the fact that, like, the series is so popular, the manga's selling billions, and the movie is the highest anime movie of all time and everything, but I don't get to have a raise at all. And it's like, look,
you already did the work, jackass.
Yeah, first of all, you didn't spend the $100 million that like a Hollywood studio spends on advertising. Number one, but it's like, at the end of the day, like you said, first of all, this screams to me the same energy of teachers aren't paid enough. I deserve more to teach. It's like, you work 9 months out of the year. You don't deserve more. It's the entitlement here of, I should be able to raise a family and buy a house on my minimum wage McDonald's job, is the kind of things like, you have missed the point of work. You have zero ambition. The system is designed, or rather was designed the way it was, in order to ensure that you actually worked on improving yourself and society by moving up in the world. You are not supposed to pay for everything you do in your life based on your minimum wage job forever. You are meant to work hard and gain skills and bring more value to society by improving yourself and rising up in the industry to the next level. Now,
yeah, being content is fine, but you definitely have to put some effort forth.
Yeah, see, being content is the exact opposite of being entitled, which is what's happening here.
Yeah.
And I'll just say again, I want them to get a raise, but the entitlement makes me want to give them less of a raise.
I think a more applicable thing to this situation, though, or more specifically, you only make 300 for your day, a half day,
4 hours of work.
Yeah, it is the last time we talked about unions, like I think I mentioned something on the lines of like this is more or less like you kind of do the art for the rewarding experience, not necessarily for the money. So this is always going to be the side hustle to your main hustle. So these people are acting as if this is the main hustle when that's only really reserved for when you've made it like super big, when you're like what, Troy Baker or something. But that's in like the video game sector where they actually, I think, pay out good, because that's why you see Laura Bailey and Travis Willingham hasn't done a Funimation thing for years at this point. Well, Laura Bailey
Probably because
came back
video
for free,
game
but
dubs are
that's
union.
good. Probably, but more than union though. I'm sure they get paid way more because video games have huge budgets and everything.
Well, see, again though, think about this.
Just quickly, video games have a shit ton more lines as well. You're not in there for like 2 hours and then done.
Right.
Yeah.
For the most part. Yeah. Especially if you're a main character or whatever. But
it's not like I've seen any of their tax forms, but I've always heard that video game voice actors have made
significantly more than anime. Here is why. Because anime got its start in Texas. Everything else is relegated mostly to the LA area where there are strongly like stringent union what do you call it, stranglehold, right? So yes, that's why, because Funimation got access to Dragon Ball because what's his name, Gen Fukunaga's cousin or uncle or whoever worked at Toei, and he was given the chance to bring Dragon Ball over, and then it originally got dubbed in
Canada
with the Ocean Group, right? And then Funimation did it in-house in Texas, and because it was good.
I was gonna say that's the funniest part of this. They're all bitching about like, oh, well, how could you replace? You're talking about the company that literally fired the entire dub cast of Dragon Ball. They're basically one and only big hit to recast them, to bring it in-house, to make it cheaper.
Yes. Let's get back to Reba Burr here, who said, yes, the per hour rate seems good if you don't do this kind of work. But if you have a juicy supporting role, you might work 4 hours and only get $300. And dubbing is fast. That is a good estimate of how many hours of work you'll get from that role.
Well, with the new minimum.
Yeah, but fucking think about this. Think about this. Like that's a good estimate of how much work you can do. God damn it, I deserve more than $300 for working only 4 hours. You know, like the entitlement, right? And then continuing here, Anaris Canones says, I was paid. I should actually read this first. This person said, the Crunchyroll Mob Psycho dub situation just reminds me that Jujutsu Kaisen Zero made $30 million in the US. How much of that actually goes back to the US and not back to Japan
or advertising?
First of all. And the dub actors for that were paid like $300 each for their roles. These companies are literally cartoonishly evil. Or
did they make the 30 million ahead of time before they
saying that another way? I have no idea how any of this works. So Anaris Canones says, I was paid $150 total. No residuals or anything past that. And who does Anaris Canones at Ubu-Con voice? Rika Orimoto,
who speaks like all 3 times.
Right. Yeah. So let me search Rika. She was the childhood friend of Yuta Okotsu, who tragically died when she was hit by a car. That happens in the first 10 minutes. Now, she comes back as the vengeful cursed spirit, who I guess talks a little bit.
I assume it's more of a.
Well, I had Reese rewatch the movie, and I think in the first 20 minutes she had 36 seconds of dialogue.
So she wanted to get paid $300 for that?
No, she got paid $150 for effectively maybe 5 minutes worth of dialogue. Now, granted, look, just to be clear, you might have to say a line more than once if you suck at acting. Right? Or no, I'm just kidding. Obviously, you're probably going to say it more than once. You're going to get a couple takes. But still, 5 minutes, a couple times, let's say 25 minutes, $150. Again, the entitlement here of not realizing that the purpose, the way that this industry works, is that you get cast as a character. Oh, the movie made $30 million. Good. Cash in at the conventions then. So she says, I was paid $150 total. No residuals or anything past that. Residuals are a union thing that means that you get paid royalties as the movie is shown on TV. In the future, you get paid a check. 5 cents comes in the mail in a check. Might actually cost you more to deposit it at your bank through the mobile app than you actually get deposited into your bank. Tara Jane Sand says, same. I also only got 150, right? Now, continuing here. So was the $150 before or after taxes? Both are bad, but one is pointedly bad. Before!
So they got paid for 2 hours of work, $75.
Which is what that's in line with what Reba Burr was saying. Like, you don't understand. That might seem like a lot if you don't do this, but do you understand? We only work 2 hours. Oh, woe is you. Since Jujutsu Kaisen 0 was under a non-union contract, all the cast members had to pay self-employment tax, 30%. Thank God you get to write off nearly everything as an independent contractor. Plus, we got to pay 10% commission to our agents. So, yeah. Agents don't seem like a good idea.
By the way, speaking of the agents, they keep on talking about how they give us such poor whatever work conditions, blah blah blah. Could the agents fight for your negotiate your thing?
Yeah, what are they there for?
It says here, serious question. Are these things not outlined in the contracts? Or are they just not honoring them? It is! They're non-union contracts, which means they can pay their contractors whatever they want. No, it means that you agree when you sign the contract to be paid for the job. Under a union contract, they'd be required to pay a minimum wage, with which automatically has taxes, healthcare, and pension taken out. So basically, give me more. I deserve more. I can't afford to learn how to just set up an account for my pension on my own. Continuing. The SAG-AFTRA union provides, once again, healthcare, including dental. Ooh! Taxes already taken off your paycheck. COVID compliance mandate. So you too cannot risk your health to work. Well, that's why you had no work for a goddamn year and a half, I'm sure. Pension for retirement. Discounted movie tickets. Kind of neat. But I can only work union. Yeah, if you don't go FICOR, you should be union only. But FICOR does exist. But the initiation fee. So it's the same shit as Kyle McCarley. Like, go unions. I definitely am not getting paid to tell you to go union. Anyway. You guys, if you want to read these, can go through it. I want to get through this topic because we are like fucking 2 hours in here. So really? She also said, everyone speaking out right now gains nothing. Most likely will be blacklisted or deal with some other consequences to encourage us to be silent. But I personally want to say something because there's so much damn talent in Texas that deserve better. And I want us all to win. Once again, don't negotiate on my behalf. This is going back to the Ayn Rand thing I was talking about before. Altruism is fucking bullshit. And it is the belief that something is good for me, that therefore now you are okay to force it on me, that I absolutely disagree with. Because I should have the right to take a job below minimum wage if, for example, I'm working for my son. Like, there are situations where you would, let's say that you're already independently wealthy. Let's say you've got something going on where you don't need a paycheck. but you want to help somebody who's struggling to start a business or whatever, but the law says you cannot be employed unless you are paid this minimum and have these benefits and stuff. And then the business can't get off the ground because you decided what was good for me and took my bargaining chip away to say, I'm willing to work for half what the government is telling you you have to pay me in exchange for something else down the line. Like, for example, buying into the company or something like that. So I'm not suggesting we repeal the minimum wage, because the immediate response obviously isn't going to be that it undoes the problem. It is a long process of unfucking the system. But the problem that we have is that every one of these self-righteous, altruistic assholes thinks that they've got the way to fix the system by having the collective bargaining that literally is just their brand of socialism. And at the end of the day, what do they do but cut you off when you don't agree? They create the barrier to entry so that they control who lives and who dies in the system. At the end of the day, what we should all want is for the freedom to choose your own terms and to have to be able to negotiate your own contracts. Literally, we are dumbing down the workers to the point where they can't negotiate a good contract. They take shitty jobs they shouldn't take because they have never been put in the situation of actually arguing and negotiating with their employer for a higher rate of pay. Zeno Robinson raised his prices from $30 to $60 for signings in 1 year because he does good in roles and gets asked to come back for lines for both TV and anime, and people are willing to pay. So Zeno Robinson also is one of the androids in Dragon Ball Super.
I have a better role. He's Thai now.
Oh.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So that's why you're willing to pay 60.
No. That's why I'm willing to pay 0.
And I believe he's Hawks in My Hero Academia.
He is, yes. And another important thing to say here is that Zeno Robinson negotiated his own rate by saying, look, my signature costs $60. And the fans said, well, all right. Sorry, Reba Burr, don't need yours anymore. I gotta use that $30 to pay for my Zeno Robinson. No,
dude.
So imagine the unions require voice actors to give away signatures at a certain rate.
Yeah, imagine if you're part of the union at cons, you have to charge maximum.
We can't have people like Will Shatner charging $200 a signature. It makes all the people that can't get that feel bad, so they all have to charge $7 a signature now.
It's effectively an equity leveling, the unionizing, right?
I think that 30 to 60 sounds crazy to me because I got Vic's signature for $10 Canadian, so that's like $1 US, and Steve Bloom was $5, and this dude's 30.
Well, you could sell those.
60.
You should throw those up on eBay and see how much people are willing to pay for them now.
Was your Steve Bloom autograph $5 on your own product, or did he sell you a poster?
These are all on my own stuff.
Oh, okay.
What do you have him sign?
Vic signed Kenichi, of all things. I thought Fullmetal Alchemist would be way too generic. And then Steve Bloom signed a game, Pitfall.
Oh, right.
For Xbox?
Yeah, for Xbox.
That was a good Pitfall game.
You should have brought the Atari 2600 one.
Technically, it's in that game.
Will you sign this?
I got Steve Bloom's signature, and it cost me $20. But it was like I bought like his poster that he had on the tables.
So coming back to this, she said, everybody's speaking out. I want all of us to win. And then I saw Katrina Leonidakis had mentioned, last I heard, some holdovers from Funimation are being paid around $240 per episode. So think about that for a minute. An episode is roughly 24 minutes, right?
Hmm.
The vast majority of shows are not going to have one person speaking for the full 24 minutes. Yeah. But even if you did, and you could do that in an hour and a half, $240 for an hour and a half worth of work is still not pretty bad. That's really not bad. And I think you get a minimum, even at Funimation, I think you still get a minimum of hours pay. Now, that was the rate offered to people who were being paid more than that at Funimation for the opportunity to continue working with us. So what Katrina Leonidakis is saying here is that when the merger happened, the holdovers from Funimation who were making more than $240 per episode were offered, here's what we're willing to give you. If you don't like it, get the fuck out. Now, again, I think every voiceover actor, for the most part, does deserve a raise. And this is some bullshit, right? And you should leave. AM Studios is right down the street. I welcome you to, to go there.
Imagine the entire voice talent pool showed up and then walked out.
What if that's the reason that so many people were featured in AM Studios dub? What if that is the reason why? Because they were offered $240 per episode when previously they were making $600, or I don't know. I don't know what the number would be, but let's just say, what if that's the reason that Cynthia Krantz and all them who previously, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see, won't it? When Dragon Ball comes back. I mean, Mob Psycho 100 season 3, who fucking cares about Mob? Like, that's not even
My Hero Academia. Let's go with that one.
Well, let's just say when Dragon Ball Super is supposedly starting up again, when that starts getting dubbed, do you think that they're gonna not have what do you? That'll be really interesting to see if they don't have the full cast because of this shit. That'll be interesting to see. Now,
well, they've replaced
if anybody had the ability to negotiate higher earnings, it's probably Sabbath, like for that click of Dragon Ball and all that. I don't know, but I'm just saying if this is true, what Katrina Leonidakis is saying here, that people who were being paid more were offered the lower rate, and you basically you can stay with us if you want, otherwise get the fuck out.
Just
also
quickly on Dragon Ball, they've replaced Frieza, Gohan, Bulma, like all within Funimation. So
yeah.
Maybe Chris and Sean are safe, but other than that,
I was thinking of Cynthia Krantz, who voices Chi-Chi, due to the fact that she was in AM Studios dub with Vic. So that's kind of what I was thinking. Tiffany Vollmer, Cynthia Krantz, all of them were sort of in there. So I was thinking, I wonder, and Cynthia Krantz, I mean, she doesn't really do a whole lot of dubbing, but. I mean, she's there for
Cynthia Krantz.
Botan,
yes.
Yeah. So she does. In the past, she had a lot more titles, but I feel like more recently, Chi-Chi's pretty much the only role that I can think of that she still does. But I'm just saying, if she was offered the lower rate, but she still wanted to voice act, I mean, perhaps, again, this is all speculation, but maybe that's why she went over to AM Studios. Anyway, also, I would like to point out here, Katrina Leonidakis herself was fired from Funimation after the merger.
Yay?
See, on the one hand, it's like, she's kind of an insufferable bitch. But at the same time, she did come out and admit she was wrong for using Big Brother instead of Nini. So I kind of have to give her a little bit of
well, yeah, she gets credit for that, but she had like some other things that followed that up that is like, okay, well, so much for...
So Bamboo Dong, was talking about everybody at Crunchyroll is criminally underpaid, including their hardworking marketing and production folks. It takes a lot of bravery for the freelance actors to speak out because they're highly visible, but unfortunately also disposable. $1.2 billion acquisition, and none of that trickled down. Crunchyroll also monitors employee socials. My partner has legit been called in for a meeting because they tweeted something pro-union. Now, I looked at this person's Twitter. They don't mention who their significant other or whoever is, but they do a ton of vor porn. Oh, so if you're into that, what was the gist of it? Just quote, "We don't want you using the U word," or what? The spin was that they, by working for Crunchyroll in any capacity, they are a rep for the company. Wow, this is really bad for Vic's claim that they're what was it called? Vicarious liability, right, against Funimation. Too bad his case was dismissed. That by working for Crunchyroll in any capacity, they are a rep for the company in public scenarios. So talking about unions on their social media could be misconstrued as how the company feels about unions. My partner was vocally pro-union. I can only speak for the Dallas office, but morale is at an all-time low, and there's been a number of departures and reshuffling among staff. And when Sony originally took over Funimation in like 2016, it actually caused an exodus of many longtime staff thanks to simuldubs. That's what they say. I don't know who this person is. I just know that they drew and wrote disgusting vor fetish stories, and I hope I never have to see them on the podcast again. But make of that what you will.